Oh, sorry. Look, I'm black. The beat gets you sometimes. I'm just saying, and the beat's kind of nice. It's some nice mellow thing. It gets you a little bit. It has some Chinese food. I got my hot tea, and I got some really cool guests. So I'm not going to apologize for jamming to the song. I mean, it's a free domain song, so don't worry about it. Folks, hello and welcome to another episode of the Hungry Bleak Show. I am Antonio Pomares, and look, it's been a crazy time. New year, I've got these shows coming up. You're going to be in store for some really fun guests, great comics. Eventually, we'll have our sit down little conversation where I talk to you both. But for right now, I've got people coming in and out, and I'm enjoying every second of it. And this show is going to be just a part of that really fun cavalcade. So, a few months, maybe a year back, can't remember what it was, I talked to y'all about Wiseacre Comics and a comic called Magnus. And the thing that I said about it is that I really enjoyed it, loved it, it was fun, and it reminded me of a 90s comic. Hold on, wait a minute. I don't mean a whole lot of pockets and somebody not drawing feet. Not shaming anyone. But it felt in that way of just a really great adventure. It took me back to that time of reading comics in the 90s. Even with the nice, bright, bold colors and just a really cool story. And it felt like, yeah, this is awesome. So that's what we're going to talk about today, plus a whole lot more because we've got these two incredible people coming on. So without any further ado, folks, from Wiseacre Comics, very exciting, we have Frederick Littles and Marc Glave.
What's up?
Hello. How are you both doing this evening?
Doing great.
Well, thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Like I said, I've just enjoyed what Wiseacre has brought to us so far, and I know there's a lot more to come up. But first, let's get to know Wiseacre. How did Wiseacre Comics come about?
So I'm Frederick Littles, founder and owner of Wiseacre Comics, and it came about two ways in a way. So back in high school, I used to draw a lot. I used to draw a lot of characters, used to write, and then I fell in love with music. So I put the pen and everything down, and really enjoyed going through the music portion of my life. It wasn't until roughly back in 2018 when Black Panther released, and that was like an epic time, right? Because you had this great movie that was just inspiring and everything in a way as well. And that really started the foundation and set things into motion to where I started writing them again. Because I wanted to really see my stories out in the forefront as well. And I asked the question, we have this amazing cast, we have this amazing character and everything. Why now? Why are we just now getting this character, this movie? And so I made a conscious decision, everything, to say, you know what? Let me take a leap of faith and start crafting my own stories. So I dust off some old scripts. I went back to my first book, A Comma, before Magnus, wrote that story, which was roughly 6 issues to become a graphic novel. And then I decided to go ahead and do Magnus. When I launched Wiseacre Comics, not knowing at the time, because when I entered into this space, I had no experience in the comic realm of things. I didn't know anything about indie comics. I didn't know anything about producing a comic book. I didn't know anything about trying to find an artist. None of these things. And so the hard part was allowing an artist to take my script and bring it to life and be able to visualize what that would look like going forward in the future and have somebody else read that book and either enjoy it or not enjoy it. And so there was a lot of bit of doubt there, right? You're like, man, I'm putting my neck out there, and now I'm going to showcase myself to the world, and it's going to be through a written form. And so it's a little bit scary. And so what I decided to do was really take a look into one of my heroes, Dwayne McDuffie from Milestone. And the way he did things was a blueprint for me to follow. He changed the face of comics. I'm going to put it out there. As a freelancer at that, right? And so that's why I love the indie space, the indie community and everything, because you have this you're not restricted on what you can and cannot say within your story. And you have this freedom that's unrestricted and everything, where the handcuffs and everything comes off. And so he was able to establish this cultural phenomenon and everything, pretty much. From the likes of Static Shock, Black Lightning, Vixen, Icon, Rocket, Power, you name it, right? And I wanted to follow the same setup, and that's how Wiseacre Comics came about.
Wow. I mean, everything you mentioned was a hit, and definitely like iconic characters. And I mean, Dwayne McDuffie obviously is one of those. I mean, he's called the maestro for a reason. He's one of those people who will always, like, that's that bar. Like, there are certain people that are that bar, and you want to be that bar. I also love the fact that you went and looked at what he did, so you could do your thing. Because one day someone's going to look at what you did, so they can do their thing. And that's the beauty of indie comics. Like you were saying, there's no restrictions. The weights are off. You can do whatever you want to do. And there's so many different avenues that we all take. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about indie comics is, and that culture, is that it's whatever you want to do. I mean, it's creator owned for a reason. Now, Mark, how did you get your start in comics, and how did you become a part of Wiseacre?
Well, I grew up reading comics. I told Fred that when I was in Jamaica, primary school, I used to steal my lunch money in order to buy the trading cards for Marvel. So I was in it to win it for a while. You know,
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that.
Yeah. I actually used to draw too, in like junior high and that kind of thing. And I also, took a pause on that kind of stuff, a forever pause, because if you saw my drawing now, you know why we have to hire artists. You know what I mean? But I started diving into an interconnected universe idea that was supposed to be told from the perspective of BIPOCs, any kind of minority, to be honest with you, but particularly Black people, and it'd be all kinds of genres and everything like that from time immemorial, but it would be from the perspective of the minority. So thrillers in books, horror stories, comics, anything like that. That's what the Way of Paman umbrella is. But it was kind of just an idea, just little notes here, this kind of thing. And then George Floyd happened in 2020, and I felt impotent, for lack of a better word. I had no idea what to do with what I was feeling, and I knew so many people around me who were feeling the same way. And I said, hey, you kind of have some skill with a pen. Let's get behind the idea you had for a while. And that was the genesis of Dark Sentinel. So I started that. I wrote 10 issues of that to be a graphic novel, and realized how expensive that was going to be. And then I saw, I believe, another indie publisher on Instagram, and they were taking submissions. And I said, oh, this is a good idea. So I kind of, threw the bait out there, and Wiseacre Comics came through. They said, hey, I like your stuff. Let's see if we can team up, get together, and the rest is history.
What you said, George Floyd, and that feeling of, it's like you want to communicate how you're feeling. And a lot of times how we communicate how we're feeling is with our art. And that's how we can get out our pain, our hurt, our love, our anger, our joy, our happiness, whatever it is that whatever is the feeling that you're feeling. And it's very cathartic. So I love that you went that route with it, for feeling And truthfully, I'm gonna say this outright. Thank you for using the word impotent, because it's a word that it shows vulnerability. It also shows a strength in using the word, because it's a word that men, especially black men, will shy away from. So to even use that to describe how you felt mentally and emotionally is, I mean, right there shows that it's a very strong word that strikes very deeply in a lot of our minds, and to show that. So yeah, and the fact that you were able to create something, and then that you were able to create it and submit it, and then Wiseacre picked it up. That's a great chain of events, that hopefully, again, like I said to Frederick, will inspire someone. So out of that pain can come more nurturing and a bigger, deeper community, more connective tissue there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Um, Wiseacre, I was introduced to Wiseacre through Magnus, and I forgot. I don't know if it was on IG or if I was just scroll. Because sometimes I'll just scroll through Facebook. Excuse me, not Facebook. I'll scroll through Kickstarter sometimes just to, because it shows me what I want to see. So sometimes I'll just scroll through and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's got like 29 more days. Okay. Oh, that's got 4 more days. What's up? Okay, that one's got 3 more hours. Oh, I got checked out. What's go? It's like this weird like time bomb that you don't know what's gonna be going. You're like, oh, you don't know where. So I love that. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this looks dope. And I got it and say bet one. And there was so many other comics that came with it. I don't remember if it was a stretch goal or if I just got a bundle. I don't know, but it was all there. And I was like, okay, bet. And I had such fun and such joy. And I was like, okay, I love seeing indie publishers like Wiseacre coming up and blossoming and nourishing and just becoming bigger and having submissions where we can get something like Dark Sentinel in there. There was another book that came out of that was part of Wiseacre now and Beyond Caribbean, which was, oh my god, it wasn't. I'm trying to remember which comic it was, because there were 2 comics, Stray Dogs.
Diary of the Stray Dogs and Critical Ops Task Force.
Yes, thank you. The second one is the one I always mess up the title. I'm like, y'all got a lot of letters in that title, man. You got to help me out. You got to help a brother out. I'm talking a lot. I got to stammer. I'm drinking tea. You got to help me out. But again, I love seeing that connection and networking and everybody bonding and saying, how's this? How you want to do a team up like you would in the comic book. You want to do a team up and let's fight this. Let's do this. I love it. So many projects are a part of Wiseacre, which I think are incredible. As I'm going to show the people who are watching the video right now, I'm going to show the website. I mean, can you talk about some of the projects that you have coming down the pipe, or some of the ones that really have made a mark on everyone? As we see Magnus here, which is like the one I was introduced to, and just the colors and the art and the bold. It's just, yeah.
So,
damn, yes.
Yeah, so a lot of folks ask me how I'm able to create and write all of these projects and everything, and a lot of it comes through past pain and trauma, through fighting through depression. And so when I lost my mom back in 2018, also back in December, I went into a state of depression because I didn't know how to handle grief, and so like I said, I really delved into just writing, journaling, and just getting my ideas and thoughts and everything on paper. And writing poetry, and so really to digest and understand and comprehend the amount of grief I was dealing with and everything, and so to be able to see there and be there with her when she took her last breath, it was a tremendous impact on my life. With that, every single story starts with pain. It starts with the thought of struggle, sacrifice, to where I start at the end, give you a little bit of the beginning as well, mixing two. And that really spun Magnus. But one thing I wanted to delve into is research my mom background of thing and her context of life in general. I wanted to get to know where she came from, her roots and everything too, which spun me into, delving a little bit more into Africa. And so I thought of a cool idea to where, yes, you have the superhero, but I wanted to delve into African folklore, where you thought about the Orishas You didn't really see that in comics and stuff. And so I wanted to really give you a parallel story and provide a context and everything where we're talking about this family, the struggle they're going through for being, in a single parent household, but his unique relationship with his mom, but also the Orishas and Beta Terra, they're part of the story as well. And combine those into just one central plot. And so we was able to script myself and Devin R. Scott, who's my co-writer on the series. We was able to script 16 issues for the first arc for this tremendous story for Magnus. With that came Crisis, came Akama, came Ages Done, came Aura, came The First Kings, and so many more that we have in production right now. And then a collaboration with the House of Wise family, who's bringing tremendous amount of heat this year and into the future. Cannot wait to showcase what we have been working on behind the scenes. But Magnus, the next step into Magnus and everything, just for a preview, we're going to release a trade paperback, which consists of Magnus issues 1 through 6. So yes, issues 5 and 6 are in production. That'll be our next biggest Kickstarter and everything for Wiseacre Comics within the Magnus universe. And then from there and everything, like I said, we have a lot of other books in getting produced and everything as well. Currently writing one of my favorites, Veve, which is a voodoo-like New Orleans-based Who Dat Nation, yes, series and everything, where I take this young lady and she's really pretty much has a bloodline, Papa Legba, that really delves into the voodoo aspects of their lore in their world. So definitely looking forward to that one, as well as Drifters, which is based in kind of like our first manga in a way. So definitely looking to that one as well. So there's a lot in store for the future here at Wiseacre Comics, and also to collaboration with Godhood Comics as well.
I love that you said the Orishas. I have noticed over the last, say, 5 years, what have you, maybe 5 or so years, where they've become more a part of comic lore and being used. Where at one time we would only get more like angels, demons, it'd be more like that. So to bring more of that into it, and I love that feeling. We've been getting more of that in our comics, which I think is incredible. The fact that you use this for your depression and using it to kind of work through what you were going through, I think is admirable. I think that's, again, a way of having that pain, and this was your way of communicating and working through it, and also showing love to your mother. I think that's a very admirable thing, and that's again a beautiful thing, how the art form can be used, and how you literally can put blood, sweat, and tears, not just figuratively, but literally on the page or on the screen, and you can definitely feel it through there. The thing that I love the most about Magnus is the fact of talking about the intergalactic war, and the fact that most times when we get a story like that about how there's an intergalactic war going on, and they have to go to Earth because there's a child there, or a young teen, or a young adult who is the savior of the universe, or is a member of a royal family who will help stop the war or what have you. It's always been a white character, and that's always annoyed the absolute hell out of me, because I'm like, it's always been that way. If you look at like movies and stuff, and it was something that we get a lot of, and it's always a really interesting story. It's a great story, but it would always be something like that, and it always used to irk me. So then when I saw Magnus, and it was the war, and they were looking for this young kid who was in class and everything, I was like, yes, okay, bet you already had me, but now you definitely have me in a headlock. Definitely. You definitely have me in like that WWE. I'm not going, you ain't going nowhere, headlock. You know what I mean? And so that brought it out to me even more too. And then to see the character develop, and to see more of the history given of the character and the lineage, And again, having the Orishas in there was an absolute must and a stroke of genius, and I love that part of it. It's incredible.
Appreciate
Yeah, everything that you have coming down the like as I'm showing the artwork and some of the comics. I was scrolling through and I thought that I had shared it. That's why I said damn, because the art always hits me.
it.
So now that I realize I wasn't sharing it earlier, that damn is going to sound completely random. And I would apologize, but y'all know sometimes I just do random things on the camera anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You're good because you're going to go and buy the comics because they're incredible comics anyway. What do you see as far as like aside from Magnus and all the incredible comics that you have coming out? What do you see as being the future of indie Black comics? Like, do you see there? I mean, because the culture is so deep and stacked at this point, and becomes more and more stacked every day, which I love. Where do you see the culture in maybe, let's say, the next 5 years or so?
Well, I definitely answer this question and pass on to Mark and everything too. 'Cause I think he has something to say on this one as well. One thing I see, and it's from my generation, right? I came up in comics from my uncles and everything, my brothers and whatnot, sharing their stories and everything with me, sharing books and stuff as well. What I see that has to happen, we have to be kind of like the guardians and everything in a way of being able to pass the baton to the next generation. There was a gap in there, right? Because even my kids today and everything, my sons and daughter and whatnot, they didn't read many comic books. A lot of that's because you know what, they wasn't into it, and we had to figure out a way to be able to connect with that generation of new readers, and then be able to get them involved and be able to create their own stories as well, to be able to produce comic books and stuff too, so that way the industry can continue to thrive. And that's why you see a very diverse group of creators out there and everything that's very passionate about this space, telling and sharing their stories. And I want to continue to do so. And we need those stories because everybody has a story to tell. And only the person that has went through their life and everything, their situations across the board can tell that story. And oftentimes it's either through a book or through comic books, through visual arts and everything too. And so the next 5 years, we're going to see a tremendous amount of content that's coming from Black and brown folk because they have something they want to say. And they're going to say it through a visual medium, which really connects with the audience. And so hopefully in the future and everything, like I said, we'll start seeing the next generation step up to the plate to be more vocal and be able to share their stories and everything as well and their ideals. Over to you, Mark.
Well, I mean, what I think is basically just under the umbrella of what you just said. I think it's really important for our community now, the indie community in this space, to meet the next generation of viewers of this kind of material where they will be, where they want to be. And I think right now it's the animated stuff. I think that all the up and coming, the bigger publishers in our space, like Black Sand, God of Comics, and that kind of thing, they're working on that, which is fantastic because I think that you're gonna find less and less of these younger guys and girls reading comics because they want to see things animated. You know what I mean? They want to see the cartoon. They want to see what would have been on the page in stills. They want to see it, with voice actors. They want to see all the computer generated imagery, all of that. It's a bit more visceral that way, and I think that's where we're headed. It's with the advent of social media and that kind of thing, it's a I want it now, I need it now, give it to me now kind of thing going on. And I think that's how you answer that. If you progress to a point where you are staying with the times, basically, and I think you have to do that. Even if we can find a way to find the next big thing before it becomes the big thing. That's where our head has to be, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, both of you are definitely hitting on the head. I mean, between cultivating that next generation, that next step in whether it is through animation, what have you, or cultivating that next generation of creatives, either by, maybe having them, draw on the paper when you're writing, or them writing, some type of a thing where you can nurture them in and go, well, this is what I do. Would you like to see what I do when I make cartoons and comics, whatever particular, whatever medium your artwork goes through. In that way, I think those are both very 2 points. Yeah, and that instant gratification is a real thing, especially nowadays, because you can, go right on Amazon before, there was even TikTok and everything. Amazon, you can get it the next day. You know what I mean? You can get, you can order toothpaste, and by the time you wet your brush, it's already at your door. They might even be squeezing the tube onto your toothbrush, onto your toothbrush through the window. What have you. So that's definitely true. One thing that we cannot get instant gratification on, because it takes a little time, but it's so much worth it, is a Kickstarter. And you're going to have a Kickstarter for Dark Sentinel. All right. Now, can you tell us a bit about the Kickstarter and what we can expect from it?
I'm going to let you have that one, Mark.
Okay,
Mark.
all right. Well, this is my first foray into this, like the Kickstarter. I am leaning heavily on Fred's experience.
That was like 3 H's right there. He's like,
So I'm hoping the community comes out and supports my first comic and my first Kickstarter. So the character is called Dark Sentinel, and as I said, this kind of started with the George Floyd killing in 2020, and the basic premise is a vigilante who's going after corrupt police officers, right? But of course, with vigilantism and with rage, with anger, there is also this sense of I just need healing. You know what I mean? So it comes through this lens of pain and rage, that he's going after these cops. So he's not doing anything benevolent. You know what I mean? He's trying to heal himself because of what he lost due to the actions of a corrupt police officer. He's going around and he's handling business, and the people in his life, they're trying to get him back on the right track, so to speak. Try to do things the right way. He's got a ton of money because of how things. I don't want to, get too deep into what's going to happen and spoil all those things, but he's in a position where if he was in the right frame of mind, he could do a lot to help the community. Mm-hmm. Politically, economically, that kind of thing. So we're going on a journey. We're trying to see his growth into becoming, hopefully, a real hero. Or you never know. Maybe he'll stick to this path and become somewhat of a villain. You never know. I don't want to give too much away, but the Kickstarter starts February 6th. Excuse me. And we're hoping the indie community comes out and gets us to that next level, because there is a lot in store. Like I said, I wrote, when I started this, 10 issues. I've got a ton of, you see behind me, all of these characters are in the same universe, and each character represents something that I think about as far as the Black community. Like Dark Sentinel, we're touching on the complacency of the Black community within the confines of how things are legislated, how we're overseen by law, police and the courts and that kind of thing. The next guy is Damien, and his story is about what we lost as Black people taken from Africa. There's a kind of amnesia factor going there, that kind of thing. So all the characters are representing a something that has to do with being Black in America and that kind of thing. So if we can get this Kickstarter going, we can get issue 2 out, that kind of thing. We build a good audience, a good community, and we can start to tell other stories, maybe in different mediums. You never know, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping we can do something.
I definitely will, because this episode is going to be airing on the 16th, so we'll be out there in it. So you will be I am going to say it. I'm going to say it right out there. By the time this episode is out, you will already be funded and you will be hitting stretch goals. I'm going to put it out there. You say it and it happens. So I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to say it. I'm going to take ownership of it. This is what's going to happen. I love the fact that you're giving us, you know, obviously the entertainment, the action, the living vicariously through Dark Sentinel, but the fact that you said that each of these people are giving you a different aspect of being Black in America. I love when we give storytelling like that as well, and also give that emotion in there. That's something that we can feel, and even if we might not feel this character, we can understand this character, or like there's somebody there that across the board we can empathize with. We can go, yeah, that's how I feel. Or you might even be able to go, oh, I understand that thought process now because that's my favorite character. So now I understand that. Because we are not, and people loved saying this for a while and then they stopped because I think they started to, I think some people really didn't understand the fact of it, that Blackness is not a monolith. We are not all the same, you know, and I mean, not just our looks, but also our mindsets, our values, our upbringing, our ways of dealing with things. We all have different ways. And so I love the fact that there are going to be different aspects of it, because that's important to show that we are all Black and we have that commonality, but not all of us are thinking this way or that way. Not all your skin folk are your kinfolk, but unfortunately, you know what I mean? But to have that aspect of it is very important, and to show that. And so we as Black people can say, yeah, we're not a monolith, but then everybody wants to have the same mindset, which unfortunately, even if we don't agree with someone, we have to go, that's your mindset. That's what it is.
Right.
I can't change that. And we've had that either online or at holiday dinners. We've had that. We've had those. Oh man, here come Uncle George. Oh my God! Every time it's, don't give him that brown look, or don't give. Oh, you don't give him black. Oh man. All right, honey, let's go. Get the kids. Come on. No, no, let's roll. Let's roll. Let's roll. We gotta go. No, I don't care if we ain't got sweet potato pie yet. Let's out. Let's go. Let's roll up. Get the plates. We gotta go. That's it. I'll make a pie tomorrow. I don't care. Let's get that on about here. Let's go. So we all have that. We all have had that experience where we're like, you know, obviously that's where the phrase "who all gonna be there." That's why we have that phrase.
Who's going?
Oh man, I'm having to cook out next week. Oh,
who's coming?
Who all gonna be there? Gerald, man. You know I don't even mess with. You know I don't mess with him, man. You know, ever since that, that Chevelle accident, man, that 1973. I don't play with that cat. So showing that is beautiful, and I love that aspect. As creatives, as artists, as Black people, I always love asking this question because it's very important that we understand and that we acknowledge and that we just say it out loud. Mental health, anxiety, everything. It hit us a lot during the pandemic. So I always love knowing what's something that you do that's self-care, something that keeps you grounded. I'm gonna start with Mark.
Well, for me, self-care is not doing anything, honestly, because for work, I am up and down stairs, on my knees, underneath sinks. It's a very physically taxing kind of job. And then with everything going on in the news and politics everywhere else, you've got mentally taxing things happening as well. So when I'm doing self-care, it's all about just absorbing. So I'm in the couch and whatever it is, I'm watching anime, I'm watching some movies. You know, I know it's you want to say something other than the writing, but that is also a thing that I do for the self care too, in order to kind of center myself. But I really just absorb from other media. I like to learn things by watching what's going on. Oh, how did this guy do this? Or when he was writing, wonder what he was thinking. Go and research back. So that's my self care.
That's very important. Nothing is completely suitable. Sometimes you just go, and it's hard to not. Honestly,
Yes.
it's hard to not like. That wasn't an audio mistake, folks. That was no literally saying it's hard to not. It should be easy, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
not. It's very difficult to do because you have life, you have work, you have families, you have things. You go, oh man, I gotta go grocery shopping. Oh, you know what? I gotta pay. I gotta. Even though something can be so easy as, oh, you know what? I have to pay my cable bill, which you can do from your phone. It's still mentally taxing, and the slightest thing, and the news especially. Yes, I don't really watch nationwide news. I watch more local news, so I know what's going on in my area. It's much easier, and it's my corner of the world that I can kind of deal with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, look, doing nothing is completely goals on some days. I'll be honest with you. I will read a comic and read. Well, that's actually me being generous. I will read a panel 7 times and doze off. And it's not the comic. No, the comic is phenomenal. But I'm like, so I know that panel backwards and forwards at this point, but I doze off. So doing nothing, I applaud you, sir. If you're able to do that and that's what helps you and that gets you, hats off to you, seriously. Frederick, what about you? What's your self-care?
Well, after a long week and to decompress, to unwind a little bit and everything, I pour into the family. And so we really enjoy movies, right? We have a movie outing. It doesn't matter if it's a good movie or a bad movie. We're going to go see a movie. Because I guarantee you on that ride back to the house, there's going to be a conversation in the car. And I get tremendous joy out of seeing my girls and everything and my wife, talk about the movie and just sitting there just listening to either their amazement of the movie, they loved it, or their disappointment of like, I was just here like a soap opera in the car just going. And it's music to my ears because, again, it's time spent with the family, but to be able to spend that time with them means the most to me. And so I really delve into that nature of spending that time with them because it gives me that joy that I really look forward to.
That's phenomenal. I mean, because you hit it on 2 fronts, the movie night and then the family. I think that's great and that's been a really consistent answer with a lot of people that I've had where they've said that family time. And I love hearing that. I absolutely love, like, that really warms me. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing that's your self-care, because there's some days when you're like, oh, man, we got to take soccer, we got martial arts, we got the piano practice, we got all the stuff going on. And you're like, and there are some days where you're like, Dad, and you're like, I don't even know who Dad is. Look, I can't hear nothing. I can't hear you. Like you try not to, and which is understandable. Being a parent is a tremendous amount of work and upkeep, obviously.
Yes, it is.
But then to have those times when you're like just listening, again, you're just listening and taking it in and just saying, yeah. Like that's all you need in that. It can be a tumultuous week, like you were saying, a long week. Everything's going on. It's just everything's coming at you from that end, and you can just hear that laughter, or them like really discussing the movie, or them completely ripping the movie to shreds, and they're all burning, and they're all running on all 4 cylinders. Is beautiful, man. Those are incredible things. I absolutely love them, and so important, so very important. Another thing that a lot of people would consider to be self-care are comics, obviously. Mark, what are 3 comics or 3 graphic novels that really hit you?
Really hit me. I would say World War Hulk.
Okay.
Back in the day, World War Hulk, Extremis,
Ooh.
Iron Man.
Okay.
And then the Nightfall series from Batman. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
you went with okay.
Prime storytelling for me. Those kinds of comics, they really were a good foundation for me to write my own stuff. How they wove different aspects of story, section A, section B, section C, to end up at the same place. And the humanity of the characters is big in these comics, because these comics, huge events take place, but at the same time you get to see how vulnerable these characters are because of that. And I think that's really big. You need that in story, especially when these characters are so powerful. If you don't have the humanity, then There's nothing to latch
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You went, yeah, you're the second person in a row, honestly, that has said Hulk. That has
Really?
said yeah, World War Hulk. Yeah, you're the second person in a row. I'm like, oh damn, you hit it with Nightfall. That whole storyline was when events were actually events.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't, events are more now occurrences. They
Right.
have all the time, but it was an event where it was like you would have stories that would happen, then you would have this big thing that would happen, and that was one of the most iconic Batman stories ever. That whole thing of that was a crap, and those are prime choices that you give. Outstanding list. Frederick, what have you got?
So I love reading Marvel and DC, but I'm going
Mhm.
to take the opposite approach here from Mark, and I'm going to delve into the indie realm a little bit.
Okay.
So my first one is Excellence by Brandon Thomas, Kahara Randolph.
I flip this whole table over if you don't stop, boy. I swear, Anubis wept. I will flip this whole table over.
So when I read that book and everything, and it's an epic tale, just not magic, but it talks about legacy, the struggle with that legacy, the relationship that you have with his dad and everything, his father and son relationship they have and everything, the struggle little to a namesake, this pressure, this immense pressure upon this young man. But to have society try to tell you who you're supposed to be versus your own person. To me, that was a great story, a great book. I love it. It's it's definitely one of my top tens of all time. It's just a great book. The next one, like I said, from Godhood Comics to Antagonist. Again, talking about the family theme. Again, you look at Tyler Moore did a great job on this book. Maybe because he took kind of like a villain and kind of anti-hero in a way in the family that's really struggling to maintain this notion of trying to protect their families, but also kind of keep their past secret. And it's a tremendous past. And so, the way he twists this notion of you can be the villain, but you can also be the hero in a way, and it makes them seem to be in a positive light versus a negative light. It's a great arc, some great storytelling. And then finally, Bitterroot.
Man, look, I'm
This one,
gonna tell you something right now, boy. You better
this book right here. Oh,
yeah.
gosh. David Walker, Sanford Green and everything, the artwork and everything is amazing. The Harlem Renaissance, the era, the family dynamic piece and everything too. The battle of supernatural forces, the combat and racism and the hatred and the way they told the story. It's a powerful tale, and I really really enjoy that book. And so those are my favorite three books right now that I'm currently reading and everything. Continue to read over and over again, and continue to learn something from. That I'm taking it to a little bit into my story writing as well.
Okay, so first off, you better just stop. First off. And that's not a plant because I'm gonna wear that shirt tomorrow. That was legit there. Excellence is in my top 3 comics.
Wow.
Because of that dynamic of the father and son, or parent and child, because I had a similar relationship with my father in that. I mean, not with the magic aspect, obviously. I wish. But just the fact of them going and how Spencer is trying to break this system. And then at the end of issue 12, you find out more about the father. And when I read it, I was like, wait, hold on. I'm dying for them to do more of that story.
Yes.
I need at least 2 more arcs, please. It's one of my favorite. I collected every cover of the first arc. Literally every cover I have, even one that I had to mail away to a store in St. Louis, I believe, because it was an exclusive for them. I did it because that comic hit me so much. And I was so blown away. I was like, wait, hold on. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's one, like I said, my top 3. It's phenomenal. And it has a dear place in my heart.
Yes.
Bitterroot is just so. It's when I was reading it, it was around the time that Lovecraft Country was out.
Oh yeah.
So it was like a perfect blend of those two. And I was like, bet, like, how did y'all even like time this right? It felt so good. I believe they're going to be coming out with another story at some time for Bitterroot, set in a different time period, I think, but still dealing with the Sangre family, or even more. But it was at that perfect time where I would read Bitterroot and then I'd watch Lovecraft Country,
A great
and they were
mix.
both hitting that spot of ooh, damn. It's just it's. I'm actually going through Excellence again now.
Mm.
I should actually read through a bit of Root again, but I'm also reading through Noble
Mm.
as well, which is a phenomenal comic set in the Catalyst Prime universe. With those comics were just phenomenal, and another one that really hit my heart. And it's another Brandon Thomas comic. Brandon Thomas is one of my favorite writers, and Kari Randolph is one of my favorite artists. So for them to co-create Excellence is part of why that comic hits so much. Look, those are phenomenal. I'm sure people can obviously tell which comics hit me the most from my
Yeah.
reaction before you even described the comic. I was ready to just go all like for alarm and just roll out on this thing. But yeah, those are phenomenal choices and picks, and just ones that folks, just from hearing them right now, if you're able to go to your local comic book shop and
Yes.
check them out and grab the trades, and you're going to get such a great depth of story, and you're going to honestly be very happy. But what else makes you happy is when you're done getting those comics, there's always a great place to eat within at least 5 walking blocks. Always. There's always every comic book shop I've gone to, I walk out and I go, there's like at least 3-4 places that I could eat right now. So obviously, folks, again, I don't know why you're surprised. It's in the title, Hungry Bleak. You got to stop with that. Each of you, can you give me a restaurant that you absolutely love and your favorite dish? I'm going to go with Frederick.
So, being in the military and everything, I get a chance to travel the world and be able to enjoy a lot of food. I'm a foodie guy. But during my time in Arizona and whatnot, and being from the South and being from Mississippi, I love seafood. And it's very hard to find sometimes on the West Coast, especially in Arizona. And lucky enough, I was recommended to a place, and I'm very picky when it comes to seafood and everything, but they say you will love this place right here. Flavors of Louisiana. And they have a great menu that you would definitely love. But the Joliet Rouge is one of my favorite dishes that has blackened catfish with a bit of dirty rice. It's covered with a crawfish, seafood, shrimp, etouffee sauce. Trust me, my wife do not love seafood as often as much as I do, and I told her to try it, and she fell in love with it to where now she ordered it behind my back now.
Oh, gee. It's always your own people, ain't it? It's always your own people, ain't it? Always.
But they you would not be disappointed. You would not be disappointed.
Wow, the menu looks incredible. I mean, even from just the stills that are being shown, I'm mad at the people that are taking these pictures at their table. Like I would go over to the table and just pull the whole tablecloth off and just make sure all the plates spill. I'm mad at you eating food in front of me, like even though I'm eating at my table too. I'm mad at you.
Their entire menu is so good.
Good.
It looks incredible, amazing. I'm always curious about what people are digging into, not just as far as like comics and content, but what they love to eat. Food is so very important, and you know, not just how the entertainment that we take in, but also the food that we take in. It can tell so much of us, and especially when it's a comfort food. Comfort food can tell you the most about a person,
Yes.
truthfully. And this is the time of year where comfort food is honestly very important. So, folks, that's Flavors of Louisiana. When you look at the site, you will ball up your fist and get a little angry. Calm down, take a deep breath, drink some water, and if you can, and if you were in that area, just go to the restaurant and order the food. Don't sit there with a ball of fist because it's just not going. It's the fist ain't going to unball until you eat something good. I'm gonna be real with you. It's just not. I've been there too many times. It's horrible. What about you, Mark? What have you got for us?
Boy, Fred, I'm about to kill you, man, because you're making me hungry. These images, boy. Boy, I was born in Jamaica, and my family cooks Jamaican food all the time, and I cook. I cook a lot. I'm a pretty decent cook, if I do say so myself. So my palate is for Jamaican food is I'm pretty picky as well. So one of my best friends put me onto this restaurant called Ripe Bar and Grill in Mount Vernon. New York.
Mm.
Right now, a sad story. I would say after I went there for the first time, the place actually burnt down,
Oh my God.
completely burned down, and they just reopened. I want to say toward the end of last year. But when I went there, I had a jerk steak. It was the first one I've ever had at a restaurant. I do that all the time for myself. But most restaurants, they want to keep the beef has its own flavor. You don't want to do too much. Whatever. If I'm going to a West Indian restaurant, I want West Indian flavors. You know what I'm saying?
He's a man, whatever.
Whatever,
He
right?
told straight, man, shut up.
That steak was up. I want to say top 3 best steaks I've had,
Oh,
and I'm talking about even compared to like your Peter Luger's, your Ruth Chris, those steaks from in New York.
Wow.
The steak here, it was so well seasoned, and so the cook on it was fantastic. So I would say yes, please. If you go there, get the steak. Don't bring any matches. They've had their problems with that already, so just leave that at home and have some fun. Mount Vernon.
Wow. I'm looking at it. You know what gets me upset sometimes is when I read a menu and I know the food is going to be good because they don't even show pictures. They just give you a description. You like
Exactly.
so your picture starting fights. Okay, cool. All right, cool. And just looking at this first, you got me with the original backyard jerk chicken, and then I see like the big ass jerk ribeye steak. Folks, that's not me being funny. It literally says big ass on the menu. That's not me trying to be funny. Normally I would say something stupid like that, but this is literally, it's in quotation marks even on the menu. Like, look,
Yes.
I mean, this
That
is
is
Jamaican beachside style fried
Cherry
fish.
goat. Yes. Oh my goodness. That goat is so good.
Curry goat is
Okay.
it.
I can tell you right now, it's good. You got the curry goat.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Braised oxtail and beans.
Mhm.
This is how you know it's messed up too. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Don't come here on no Monday asking for it. I will beat you. Don't come here on Monday asking for it. That's how you know it's real. That's
Oh my goodness.
this recipe. This menu is just.
Yeah.
Oof, my God. And they do catering, the cookbook as well. Wow. That's what's
That's nice.
yes.
Very nice.
That's how you know it's good. Hey, I'll give you the recipe, but it's still not going to be as good as mine. That's how you
Right,
know.
right,
That's
right.
that. Don't come here asking for the oxtail on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But here's a recipe, and it's still as good as ours. That's confidence. I love it. This is amazing. I absolutely love this. This is every time someone comes in, they give a recipe, like excuse me, a restaurant. I have like this bucket list.
Mm.
And these restaurants are incredible. Hopefully, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to scratch 2 of them off of the bucket list. There was a place in New York that a friend told me about, which is perfect for geek. It's a place called 8-Bit Bites, where they have like big screen TVs at the tables where you can play games, like video games,
cool.
and plus
Yeah.
eat. And like my guest said that it was a perfect kind of like date night thing that him and his wife would do. Like if they had a date night, they had opportunity, they would go there, they would eat, and spend also time playing the games, just having a great time, milkshakes and everything. But the two between Flavors of Louisiana and I'm gonna just stop doing this show. I'm gonna stop asking all about food. I'm just getting angry. No reason at all. I'm a grown ass 5'5" man, and I'll be mad at y'all choices sometimes. Don't be real. I almost get resentful. I mean, I really I appreciate all of you and I love your artworks, but I get resentful sometimes that y'all be out here eating like this and then y'all come and throw it in my face, knowing I ain't even in that state. It's just rude. It's rude and inconsiderate, really. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like some of y'all need help. Like some of y'all really need therapy, for real. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh.
Anyway, no, but seriously, those are phenomenal. I'm looking at that jerk steak got me. That jerk steak, but then you're gonna come with that seafood and that
Mm.
again, not only do my guests bring it with the comics and the art and the writing and the incredible stuff they're doing as far as the medium, but they're coming with incredible recommendations of comics that they love, and also phenomenal restaurants that are doing it incredible, doing it big, and that are doing it all the time. Well, except for right, because don't you ask for that oxtail on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, because you about to get beat up. You about to straight get beat up. You about to get you Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sure, but don't you come in here on no Monday talk about, man, I'm gonna grab some oxtail. Get out. Get out. Got security, get out. Don't bother. So folks, I'm just mad because I'm not eating that steak right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm mad. It's late, but I'll eat that steak right now. Folks, look, Wiseacre Comics is one of those companies that when I talk about their comics, I'm legit saying, yes, do it. If I'm putting in for a Kickstarter, because I don't put in for a lot of Kickstarters now because it's just a lot of the stuff isn't hitting me as much as it should. Wiseacre has hit me consistently. And the fact that Wiseacre is growing and bringing in incredible talent, excuse me, like Marc Glave, like Nigel Lynch, to be a part of that family means a lot. It's growing the community. It's building more connective tissue, and it's bringing in the right people with incredible talent to just bring you even more stories that are amazing. That's why you should go and definitely pledge for the Kickstarter for Dark Sentinel. And while you're there, I want you to just open up another tab and go to Wiseacre, check out what they've got going on, because phenomenal comics. Magnus, like I said, is one that I absolutely caught me off guard, and I enjoyed it so much. And you'll see so many other stories there by Wiseacre and the incredible creative teams that they have there. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your time, your art, your stories with me, and those absurdly rude restaurants with the amazing food that I'm obviously going to get arrested for when I go there, because I'm going to have to call security on me when I order that oxtail at noon on Monday. When they ain't even open, obviously. So, folks, I don't even know where that came from. Folks, thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be well, be safe. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And remember to keep turning those pages, because your story is not over yet. Gentlemen, thank you very much. You have a great day. Enjoy it, folks. I will see you next week. All right. All right. So put on some pants, y'all. Please. Thank you.